Y'all, it's spooky season in Wizard101, and the only thing scary is what you're about to hear. It's October, they updated the loyalty store, and finally we have our first look at the updated freaky floramancer pack. Now, honestly, I wasn't even gonna really make a video about this because the 160 freaky floramancer gear isn't really that crazy. But this updated pack drops level 170 gear. We're gonna open it, see what we get, give our opinions on it. Probably the first pack ever opened on recording of this, and we already got something amazing. Now the robe, you might look at it and be like, wow, wait a minute, these stats are actually kind of good. That's because this template is based on the Hun Hao robe, which only drops currently, I guess until now, from a raid. And it's not just like, you know, any old template. It gives up a small bit of accuracy and gives you every other stat, including shadow chance. Because accuracy is something you can regain on things like pets, on things like triangle jewels, this is easily one of the best stats to give up, especially on high accuracy schools like life. What you're looking at is easily the best robe in the game to PvP with. Until now, you had to raid for it if you wanted to do life PvP. The other thing that I think is really, really cool, I didn't think they would do this, but it looks like they've kept what they did with level 160 floramancer decks. The item cards are hidden bubbles. Now, while that is cool, I would argue the better circle jewel deck gives pip conserve. That is from the gold key boss that currently, you know, you can farm in Avalon or Mushu. So I'm a little iffy on this, but this is crazy. Nah, what the hell is this? Hey, don't play with me. What? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why the pack just got replaced after I only opened one, but this is still absolutely worth talking about, y'all. I think this could be actually a very controversial choice of Wizard101 has put out. So if y'all don't know, right, basically there are two templates that drop from doing the Azteca raid, which is easily the hardest thing to do in the game right now. The sets that drop from it are the Shabalba set and the Hun Hao set. Up to now, the only template that you could open up packs for was a fanciful Fairy Kai Horde pack. There was still a set that you would still have to raid for. So with the release of the Fairy Kai Horde pack, the Shabalba set from the Azteca raid is basically something that you've always been able to buy for crowns since this came out. So the only remaining reason to actually raid if you wanted a set was to get the Hun Hao set. Now, in terms of the best gear from the actual, you know, Hun Hao set, I would say the robe is absolutely amazing. In my opinion, it's either that or the Stalker robe, depending on the school, no matter what school you're on, pretty much. And the other piece of gear that's extremely important for a lot of schools is the Hun Hao wand. What makes the robe really good, obviously, as I said earlier, it gives up a little bit of accuracy for shads. The wand is even better because you basically gain pip conserve for giving up a little bit of accuracy on the damage version of this wand. For a lot of schools that specialize in using odd pip hits like life, it uses Burrowing Bane, it uses Goat Monk, it uses, you know, Hungry. These three spells alone really make pip conserve a necessity in PvP. For any of those schools up to now, they had to have raided to get the best setup. Now that's no longer a thing. Officially now, because this pack is coming out, there's no reason to do the Azteca raid anymore. Now, raids are really weird to me because on one hand, there's definitely going to be a lot of people that are like, you know what, I don't really like raids. This is not a thing I've interacted with. So for them, a pack giving the gear instead of them having to raid at any point, it's probably a really big W. But on the other hand, the people that do raid, right, this is probably something that they've probably put like hours into, dozens of hours, days and days. They've probably failed a few runs in order to get this gear. With this pack dropping officially, I think a lot of people have to come to terms with feeling like their time running the Azteca raid was more or less wasted. Now, someone with most, if not all, of this gear, I don't personally feel like my time was wasted, mainly because I feel like I got a lot of worth out of raiding when that gear was completely new and unable to be gotten from a pack. Right at this point, the raid has been out for like about a year. I feel like, you know, if you got the gear early enough, you've gotten a lot of value out of it. I think at this point, if anything, it's just a barrier of entry for a lot of people that want to run good stats and run PvP. At the same time, it really doesn't feel like anyone who has an expertise in running the Azteca raid is really having any of their efforts rewarded anymore, right? There's no real reason to run this raid anymore, which really opens up the question of when we get a raid, when they release packs that give you gear from the raid, shouldn't there still be a reason to do a raid? I mean, if this is a side activity that you're good at, there should be other things that you get for it. I think there are pros and cons, right? Like the robe I'm literally running on the life. Now, people don't have to raid for it. If they want a PvP, they can just open a few packs, maybe get a little lucky, and that's it. But it's always at the cost of people that ended up doing this without paying a lot of crowns or opening up a lot of packs. I think they need to update drop tables for raids so they drop other things that are high value. I think they could do all kinds of things. They could update the pets so that they drop unique item cards and are exclusive so people still have a reason to raid. They could drop large amounts of dream water and then just update it to the reagent that they use next year so that if you do a lot of raids, you could just get a lot of things that, you know, like you could get jewels, you could get gear that's like Wallaroo related, right? That's just like off the top of my head. But I think anytime they put out a pack like this, while yes, it's reducing a barrier of entry in some level, I still think then they have to, like, you know, they have to like acknowledge that this does change the game for some people and update that. That's just my 2 cents on this, because I think there will be people that are mad. I'm not one of them. There will be people that are mad that this has now invalidated their efforts. I think that's valid. I think that's unavoidable. Big TLDR, if the Hun Hao template specifically is why you haven't been doing PvP or you felt unable to, I think it's probably one of the better packs to open. This is also a Halloween related pack. It is seasonal. I don't think that's like a coincidence. I think Wiz wants to make money on this. It's a limited time thing. People are going to buy it because they know that they can't buy it later. But I do think if you were to relate crowns and spending it to like save time, this is probably one of the most time-saving purchases you can make if you just get lucky enough to get the Wander robe that you need to complete your set. Definitely also true though, let's say that you just don't have this gear from raiding or from a pack. That doesn't mean you cannot do PvP. I think a lot of people look at people that are PvPing well above captain, around the marshal range. They look at the stats that they have and they think that they need that in order to compete. I'll say this is something that I feel like more people should be saying. Just because you don't have the best stats or the whatever, that does not mean that you can't climb rank, especially earlier on. So thankfully, it's not really like pay to win in the sense like other gear has been, because you can still raid if you really want and you don't really need it. But for people that prefer getting their gear this way, this might really be a W that a lot of people have been seeking. It's worth mentioning in the closing of this video that this is officially the first time in several years, I want to say, I don't think that's an exaggeration, in that long that we've actually had every single gear template at max level purchasable with crown. However, with almost no exceptions, every single one of those templates is also something you can either farm with by raiding, by running the main world, by running gauntlets, by running gold key bosses. I think it's worth taking a step back and appreciating how far the game has truly come, because it used to literally be that if you opened up packs, that's the only way to ever do anything in this game. And now it looks like they're really committed to this optimal strategy where if you want to buy packs, fine. If you don't want to, there are still options. I know obviously raiding does, you know, doesn't really feel like an option for a lot of people, so maybe there's a lot of progress to be made, but I do think this is the first time I felt like, yo, if someone actually just, you know, doesn't mind spending crowns, they can literally get and do anything in this game. That's a big deal. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this, especially if you raid. Maybe if you felt that raids are inaccessible. I feel like those viewpoints are probably going to show up a lot. Let me know what you guys think about this. As always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.